Did you know there was a little trick to sewing shoulder seams that helps them lay smoother? I'll show you what it is, coming up. Hey, Chanel here, bringing you weekly videos to help you get better and better with your fashion sewing and be more creative too. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another video. So, shoulder seams are on a weird angle. They're not on the cross grain or the bias grain, or definitely not the length grain. Here's like a bodice kind of sample of it. Here's the shoulder seam. It has like a little weird grain twist going on in there. So if you just sew it straight right there, you might have like little ripples laying on top of your shoulder. So there is a little trick that we use in stopping that, like kind of stabilizing that grain line. If you ever notice, look in some of your garments, you will find, actually here is one right here, student of mine made. It's nice and firm, the shoulder seam right here, and it doesn't wobble around or stretch out. And the trick is twill tape. Sewn right with the seam. If you ever look in some of your garments in your closet, you might notice there's a little piece of twill tape in there. The manufacturers use usually a real small one than what we find in the fabric stores. Also, the knit ones right here, let me see if I can find the shoulder seam. The knit ones nowadays are very strange. They have an elastic one in there. They're just sewn in. You ever notice that? They're, I guess it stabilizes it somehow. It still has, knit stretch. What are you going to do? So, but I think that stabilizes that. But twill tape, I have like a little bucket of twill tape, and it comes in all different sizes and different colors, usually the neutral colors. Right here, this is a real good one. What you want to do is look for twill tape that's thin and easy pliable. Some of them are real stiff. The ones that are sold on the cards, have you ever seen with the seam tapes? Those they're in the cards, and I don't really buy them because they're really crunchy. They're kind of stiff. But if you'll notice, you can actually steam them and get them a little softer if you end up with those. But if you do find like twill tapes out in the market, the little cotton ones, they're actually called twill tape because they're woven in a twill weave. Right here you can see the twill there, which is like the diagonal. I guess it's for sturdiness. But this is another one I really love. It's just a ribbon. This is a really vintage ribbon, and I keep it because it's very thin, soft. It's not really a ribbon, I don't know. So I think this was the old seam tapes in the olden days, but I have that much left, and I just love this. I just think it's soft. It does the job. It's real stiff. If you don't have twill tape, you can actually get a piece of your fabric you're working on and just make sure it's cut right on the length grain and use that. It should just be nice and soft. I've got a grayer one. Some of this one's a real soft one, and it's wider. And you don't have to trim it down or anything, but this one that Susan sewed in here was this looks like one of those ones, it's a purchased one right here. It's pretty narrow, and just sew it in there. So I'm going to show you real quickly just how to sew a shoulder seam, and using this little sample, and all your future shoulder seams will be looking great. All right, to sew your shoulder seams together, a lot of patterns will come with notches on them somewhere. I don't really use them unless it's a kind of a unique shoulder seam, because it's kind of obvious that they just match up this way. You got to make sure they match up on the end right here by the sleeve, and then on the shoulder. You'll also notice sometimes that they, actually most of the times, you'll have a little peak that extends past there. I have a lot of students that try to match up this, and they don't know why it's not matching, but that's where the notches do come in handy. But the reason for that is, if you were to sew right here, when you turn it right side out here, and you were to press this open, then this little tuck actually fits right there. So that's why you have that little peak there. But how you get this started first is you mark your 5/8 inch seam allowance. Have this one started right here. Get real dark so you can see it with the chalk. And then it's too hard to sew that right on there to get it matched, so I'll put it on the bottom. And what I like to do is put my pins in here. Just put a couple pins there, and then put this over the tape and have the tape extend past a little bit on each side, the sleeve part and the neck part right there. And then take that out and put my pin, if you can see it right there, put my pin back in through all the layers and getting that silver pin right there in the center-ish, I can say, of the tape. It's not exact, it's, you know, no big deal, but as long as you get that tape, and you have to get it all, you know, enclosed there because you don't want it to run off. Now, if I just go sew this and keep my pins in place and not take them out too soon, it won't slip around. You can also put a couple extra pins like this to make sure it's secure. All I gotta do is stitch here to here, reversing, and then that'll be the shoulder seam. Okay, I have it all ready to sew. My little, you can see my black tape there. Just start here. And reverse stitch it there. Take out my pins kind of close. There. Stitch it there, and then simple as that. Got that stitched there, and then got it pretty centered right there. Now all I got to do is press the seams open right here. And there's a nice stable shoulder seam. So there you have it, a nice stable shoulder seam. The little twill tape in there just holds that grain so it's nice and straight. You have a nice smooth shoulder line. Then you can get on now with your sleeve and your neckline. Got a good foundation. So let me know if you have any questions on anything sewing related. Try to answer them, and I'll see you in the next sew bit.